Paul and Mary Jo talk about why. Windows 11 closer to completion. Paul walks me through the upgrade at 22H2. And Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is coming. It's all coming up next on Windows Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo. 2022. Call of Jury Duty. Windows Weekly is brought to you by PlexTrack, the purple teaming platform. Save time and increase productivity with the premier cybersecurity reporting and workflow management product designed to support proactive security strategy from assessment through remediation. Visit plextrack.com/twit and claim your free month. And by Nuvei. Say goodbye to abandoned next generation of payments. Turn payments into powerful accelerators for your business at Nuvei.com. And by Hover. Whether you're a developer, photographer, or small business, Hover is something for you to expand your projects and get the visibility you want. Go to hover.com/twit to get 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension for the entire first year. It's time for Windows Weekly. A big sigh. Paul Thurrott is here, Thurrott.com. He is also an author, a book author. Many books. Over your right shoulder there be the Windows colors, but I think you kind of are trying to do that. Maybe put the red one up above. Then it would look like
never occurred to me. Yeah, that's a good point.
It would be a Windows logo.
Right.
Wouldn't that be cool?
I don't know if I have all the... Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have the right colors for that, but...
It doesn't have to be the right colors. That's Mary Jo Foley on the right there. Hi, Mary Jo Foley.
Hello. I don't have a Windows logo, but that's fine.
You have a bookshelf. 4 out of 5 Zoom calls involve bookshelves in the background.
Right. Very Parisian apartment.
It is. It is.
You always see bookshelves in Paris apartments.
Yeah. We our studio died on Sunday because we had a power outage, and I had to go home and do the show. And of the 4 people on the show, I had a bookshelf behind me. Alex Wilhelm had a bookshelf behind me. Dan Gilmore had a bookshelf behind me. Only Jill Duffy from PC Magazine did not. I didn't call her out, though, because she's very smart. And
sounds like you just did.
Well, she would have one probably on the other side. That's all. It was just,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Off camera.
Off camera. And I'm sure somewhere in the house, Paul has a book or two.
Not anymore.
Maybe.
We've
all digital.
Through a process of downsizing. Yeah.
Really?
I mean, we have a handful of books, but yeah.
Really?
Yep.
I used to say that. This is 4 or 5 years ago. I would say on the radio show, physical media is dead. You don't need physical media. You don't need albums, CDs, books, DVDs. And people would yell at me, saying you're
there
crazy.
is a nostalgia to it. There's also kind of a hipster element. I define a hipster as someone who is nostalgic for a time they did not experience.
That's who's buying turntables. People in their 20s.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Turntables are great because they're inconvenient and expensive.
Yeah.
But
and the music sounds terrible.
The music sounds fine, or it can sound fine. Had stored boxes and boxes of books at my parents' house when we moved to Phoenix. They eventually shipped them out, but in the interim, they never put them into the garage, which is wet. And half the books were destroyed.
Oh no.
So that was fun. But you know what, though?
No, and there's
honestly,
but there's certain books you need to have in print still, like cookbooks. Right?
Yes.
You can get digital versions, but you want the physical version of that. Right?
No, you're right. No, absolutely. And we do.
Actually,
and we do have cookbooks.
Mary Jo, I don't know if that's true.
Yes. I know. They get dirty.
I don't know if that's true. If you have an iPad.
Well, Mary Jo would have
And
them on
software,
her.
I could
She would
pull it
have
up.
them electronically if Microsoft had just
No,
made a book.
guys. Oh, right. That weird. Yep, that weird.
I cook
an iPad.
off my laptop or iPad. And the other half of the time, I go to my cookbooks. I have them on the shelf in the kitchen, and I'll open it up.
Yeah.
I just like perusing the physical.
Oh, I
copy
love
because
that.
It makes ideas jump out at
That's
you
right.
more than flipping through like on a screen.
My whole life, my mom, because she was a homemaker and like a big focus of her life was making the meals, would in the morning she'd read at cookbooks all the time. In the morning, she would look through her cookbooks and plan the dinner. So I grew up with that. It's funny because she's 88 now, and I gave her a June oven, one of those Android connected smart ovens. She loves it, by the way, because you put in a bagel.
Does? Wow.
She kind of likes that. And she said, "Oh, and honey, you saved my life because now I scroll instead of reading cookbooks, I scroll through the June that on her iPhone." So who knows? The world is changing.
I physical media, whatever, but I mean, if you want to be mobile in any way, not having to carry books, not having to carry CDs, not having to carry
forget
whatever.
books,
I mean,
albums. Imagine. I have friends who have walls of albums. There is nothing heavier.
Yeah. Well, those will make beautiful kindling for the fire, but
melt the vinyl.
I like to
make
listen
a
to music
tent.
on a plane,
Yeah, exactly.
or in a different location.
Well, and somebody's
whatever.
saying in the chat room, Virgil's saying physical books work when there's no power.
Right.
Where would that be? I mean,
If your power has been out for so long you can't read books on a device, you've got way bigger problems than content. But fair enough. I'm sure.
well, and there are places you can't play Xbox in a submarine. It's but you just have to get used to that. Hey, speaking of Xbox, the guy who created the Kinect, the guy who was kind of the tip of the spear on HoloLens.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think it's very important that we recognize his greatest achievement of all time, which, of course, was the Windows Vista Ultimate Extras. But please continue.
Was that his first outing at Microsoft? He's been there how long?
It was his first public outing.
21 years.
Alex
21.
Kipman is out, and apparently out under a cloud.
That's right.
Yes. We don't have all the pieces either, right? So
Some of it you
This
could
week-
say are, this is part of the dismantling of HoloLens, right?
you could say that, but I'm not entirely sure that's correct.
He's the long-haired guy who had the rave at the end of
Yes.
Build. Was it last year?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Dancing around the campfire.
Yeah, he took us
He wasn't
all-
always long-haired. Like a lot of people at Microsoft, you get a little famous, you get a little money, and then he turned into kind of a hippie freak. I don't know what happened there, but and I was looking up Alex Kipman recently, and his earliest appearances, he was.
I wasn't familiar with him before that HoloLens event, and I thought, he's one of those artistic types. He's an Adam Newman type. He's a, he's a free thinker. He probably isn't wearing shoes, and he's like that.
He makes.
right?
Well, he came from Brazil.
He has an accent. Yeah.
Yeah, he's from Brazil.
Not that means anything, but
I was going to say. I mean, so he's exotic to us. I guess.
to us, he's a
Right,
strange
exactly.
bird.
Yeah.
No, and Microsoft has treated him as kind of a genius at the company, right?
That's right.
It's like Alex says this. Alex is doing
Well, what's
this.
his title? His title was like fellow.
I think he's a technical
now-
fellow, isn't
Yeah.
Technical
Or was.
fellow. He is now a technical
Yeah.
fellow. I was looking back at my notes. He moved says with Windows, then they moved him over to cloud. I feel like there was a lot of things they were trying to figure out. Where does he fit best? Who can manage this guy?
Well, Kinect was a hit, right?
For a year.
Well,
And we should be fair.
It had a 1 year run where
It
it was,
came from an
it was
Israeli
everything.
company, PrimeSense, right? So it wasn't developed under Kipman. He just ran it once they bought it. Is that right?
Okay.
the Kinect
Yeah,
stuff.
probably.
The Kinect
Yeah.
stuff. But Kinect was the best-selling consumer item of all time until it wasn't.
For 1 year, yeah.
And then suddenly it was like,
It became a boat anchor. Remember that one of the many things that sunk Xbox One is that Microsoft required you to get a Kinect.
$100
with
more.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
And as soon as they stopped doing that, it sold better and developers stopped supporting Kinect immediately.
Which is sad because I loved the Kinect, but okay, fine.
Yeah.
Well, for all the same reasons one might like a Nintendo Wii or whatever.
Yeah.
There was some fun.
Yeah.
There was some fun stuff.
You could exercise in front of it. This was very early on.
Yeah.
And it would
Yeah.
know your heart rate, and it could say, work harder, or, no, you're trying too hard. And,
Which, are you in the room?
well, it was cool because you'd walk in, and it would have a gghost-like image of your whole room, and it would
Yeah.
see you, and it would recognize. It would say, "Hi, Leo." And when
Hey, it
Michael
factored
sat
into
down,
one of the what do you call those? Those horror movie. There was a horror movie where the Xbox scanning the room was part of the plot.
Oh, how fun!
I can't think of the name of it. I'm sorry. Anyway, it had a little cameo in a big horror
Nice.
movie.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So there's lots to say about it.
Yeah, and then you know, he really became the face of the HoloLens. He's considered the father of the HoloLens, right? So all the time when Microsoft was showing long-term vision kinds of things, like here's how holo rotation's going to work, all these like crazy futuristic visions. The picture at the
that was so
much like
weird.
the HoloLens business itself.
yeah,
Underwater.
pretty much.
With whales.
I'm going to keep using that joke until
It was like you were in an aquarium.
Right. And, you know, the original vision for HoloLens was it was going to be both a consumer and a business play. And Kipman was most excited about the consumer part, obviously. Like, that's where he thought it really was going to have a future.
They very clear.
And in the
Actually,
end,
that's
it didn't.
That was Microsoft Mesh he was showing, right?
Yeah, last year he showed off Mesh, which is the platform for working together in these collaborative spaces that are in a virtual world. Right?
I think from the very beginning in that 2015 event we do with HoloLens, they just knew they had to get it out into the world. And some of the first demonstrations that we did, and then they had the kind of productivity things like you're fixing an electrical wire in a wall and you've got a Skype screen. These were all just kind of ideas. Like, here are some of the things we think this might be good at. And it didn't take long for the gaming stuff to go by the wayside.
Be the focus,
it didn't. Yeah, it happened pretty quick.
No, it was too bulky and big, right? It wasn't like a consumer headset, and they realized it for things that are more business oriented, and that's where it ended up being positioned, along with the military market.
Along with the military,
which has been kind of a mixed bag, right?
It
the
has,
Army
Army
deal
contract, the Army IVAS contract, which is headsets based on HoloLens technology, $22 billion deal over 10 years. It's been very rough.
So
for teams.
This type of thing, though, this is that Leo's showing now, and the earlier things as well, is also one of the central issues with HoloLens, because the way they have to demonstrate this in 2D, they make it look like this is far more immersive than it really is.
You complained about that?
When you're presenting holograms all over the space you can see, it makes it seem like you see holograms everywhere in the world, and you don't. You see them in this
mail slot,
very specific, a mail slot. It did get better, and it probably would have kept getting better over time. I'm sure maybe whatever they do with it will get better, but. Unfortunately, I'm sure they struggled with how do we convey what this is like. Unfortunately, what they landed on was a lie, because this is not what it's like. That's not what it looks like.
No.
And then AltSpace was the Burning Man thing,
Fire
right?
pit. Yeah. Yep. So when they first announced this Teams for Mesh and Mesh Vision, really the only place that works is AltSpace. Like the vision was to make it work in a larger context, but it really right now is very kind of connected to and Seek. But like, is it going to work with HoloLens? Is it going to work with other headsets? Is it going to work with my phone? And Microsoft said yes to all of this, but it never showed it actually working with those things, right?
Completely different technologies. Obviously, there's some overlap, but they're very different presentation-wise.
This was
the ability to see the real world.
This was the 2017 Ignite presentation that, to me, made me actually think, oh, this guy's kind of alternate, an alt kind of person, right? There he is in his black Converse sneakers talking to a frog. And this is where Gila Liberté of the Cirque du Soleil, and they go into the Burning Man. And
so the problem here is anything AR or VR related, if you want it to be fun and exciting for people, you have to show consumer stuff. Right,
but that's not the real market.
Are we going to have a work? What is this? Is this like a work meeting in Mordor? I'm looking at what's this environment? We're here at the Pit of Fire where the One Ring was destroyed, and I just don't. But it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Engineers using it to design products. I mean, there's a lot of sensible uses.
Yes.
The problem is they're not like this. Right. They're not. Ooh.
No, they don't demo
and
that
why would it
way,
be like
right?
Right.
One of the best that would make sense was you give a HoloLens headset to an engineer designing a vehicle. Instead of having to come up with a 2,000-pound lump of clay and shave it off until it starts looking like a car, and then you run your test on it, smart like Windows mixed reality headsets to other people, feedback and point out things that should be changed or whatever. So you had that kind of creator viewer dichotomy that, I think makes sense in some cases. Like, automobile design is one of them. I don't know how many
Right.
there
Healthcare.
are. And you see something like that, you're like,
right?
are you going to look at me or are you going to put a headset on? What are you doing? Like,
Right. No, they do. They
it'd be
show a lot
little-
of medical things, like instructing students on a procedure,
Yeah, or-
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, or telemedicine. And,
Yeah.
Okay, there you
Yeah.
go.
Those all make
Yeah.
sense.
Right. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think HoloLens gave them something that was really fun to demo. Reality comes into play and they're like, okay, but how do you make money on this? Like, you're selling these for $3,000 a piece. Like,
Right.
how many are you going to sell? Right. They're not cheap.
Well, by the way, the other thing,
yeah.
actually, this makes a lot more sense. It's usable right now. It's super affordable. Anyone can do it. It was the Museum of Natural History in New York or somewhere, but I don't know why I can't remember the museum, but I went to a museum where you could look at a dinosaur skeleton because it was there, and then you could bring up your phone, and they would show you what it looked like with skin and whatever. And so you could kind of see it. You do this little AR thing. You're like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bring a $3,000 HoloLens to a museum,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I would bring my phone,
2021. they're going
sorry,
into
but-
space.
In spite of all of this that we've talked about so far, this isn't the main reason that we think Alex Kipman is leaving.
You don't think this is the main reason?
I have to say,
Because honestly, looking at this now, I feel like this should be the main reason.
this might have been when people started question marks, maybe, right?
Agree. Right.
Because it looks
So-
like, I'll be honest, it looks
Yeah.
like he's tripping balls.
Yeah.
Like what,
Yeah.
is,
Yep.
What is happening?
what's
right?
happening? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh boy.
earlier this year, Business Insider had a story where they had allegations of him acting inappropriately with his team, especially with women on the team. And once that happened,
Plus
it was
terrible
quiet.
dancing.
All quiet.
Yeah.
All quiet.
And this is a problem Microsoft has had with others. I mean, didn't Satya Nadella say we're gonna stop this?
He did say that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's done nothing.
did say that.
Yeah, there's been
Well, I
mean,
feel
it
like
started
he's
with
tried
Bill
to,
Gates and
Yeah. He's tried to clean up in places, but people these days are just not as tolerant as they used to be, and they're like, "Well, that's the way workplaces are." No, that's not the way workplaces should be, right? And I think
Right.
he's done some things that were good to get Microsoft on the path of cleaning up this kind of culture, but it's not going as quickly as people wanted it to go.
you have
So, yeah.
to wonder. I mean, Satya Nadella's got to be standing there. This is a corporate event,
Yeah,
Microsoft
Right.
Ignite,
yeah.
and thinking,
What are we doing
well,
right
it's-
here?
What's happened?
I think it's something that might have gotten the attention of the mainstream press because it's
Yeah.
futuristic and not boring,
Yep.
which Microsoft, you're not going to see the latest Azure services on the evening news when Build comes around. or
Yeah, no, we
Ignite or
paid
whatever.
attention
You just
to
not-
it. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah,
That's what I
It's just not
remember.
gonna-
Yeah, yeah.
It's the last 10
Yeah.
minutes of that presentation.
Yep. So as of this week, Scott, and that's that. And we're going to split his team in half. And the hardware team is going to Panos under Windows and Devices, and the software team is going under Experiences and Devices, Jeff Teeper, which is where that mesh for team stuff happens. And there you go. That's what we're doing with HoloLens.
Also, I mean, related to this too, it was only a few months ago, maybe February, I don't remember the timing, where there were news reports that most of the HoloLens team had left, and gone to Meta or
Right.
whatever. And Alex Kipman at that time,
Right.
the Army contract they have where
Yeah.
they expect a lot of negative feedback from that. It's probably not going to meet the Army's needs, frankly.
Right.
I think there's just a lot going wrong there.
So to be clear, Microsoft did not say, and I have to say from some knowledge of employment law, you generally don't say that out loud.
Right. You do not.
Right.
It's
Right.
unproven
I mean,
allegation.
You're not going to say because of complaints of sexual
'Cause he
harassment.
was
You're not going to
wearing-
say that publicly.
Well, of course. And in the rich history of this kind of thing, and Microsoft certainly has a lot of experience, unfortunately, you go to that person and say, look, like that. But if
Yeah.
you don't, you need to understand.
Yeah.
Right.
We're going to have to come out and explain what happened.
instance, I mean, I'm just thinking what happened at Google
Yep.
when they paid what's his name, the founder of Android, $95 million to get out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
No, That
It's
can you even
amazing how
imagine
much
the
came out of
outcry if that happened?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But a publicly held company, you've got to disclose.
Right.
So it's hard to hide that stuff. Yeah, it's probably but we don't know.
Well, Mary Jo has a theory about this report. I don't know if you wanted to talk
I do.
about that, but when this thing came out in the Business Insider, it's like,
Yeah.
well, how did this come about?
Do you think
Right.
they leaked
So-
it?
Well, okay. So as a journalist who's worked in this field for a long time, everybody gets scoops different ways, right? Sometimes you actually stumble onto a real scoop. Sometimes companies give you something and they want to pretend that you got it. Sometimes companies give you something and say, we want you to put this out there because we have an agenda and we want you to help us further the
I think that
agenda. And
happens
it'll look
a lot.
like you.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, too.
Same. So I don't know if any of those things happen. I'm not trying to pour cold water on Business Insider's reporting at all because what they got was amazing. But
Right.
you got to wonder about the timing, right? So you're like, I wonder how that happened in that sequence, right? Anyway,
Right.
just a theory, just a thought, right?
You
I think
maybe
Paul's right.
they planted a story with Business Insider saying
I have no idea.
We don't
I have
know.
no idea if that's
Yeah.
the case, but
Certainly it does
You
happen.
could.
It does happen.
happens.
Yeah.
It's happened to me. It happens. It's happened to every reporter,
Yeah.
right? Like
It
sometimes
could
you
literally been a group
things
of
come out.
employees at Microsoft who were tired
Who
that
wanted
nobody
that
had
out.
done anything
That's
about
right.
this guy's
Agreed.
activities and
Yep.
said, let's
We just won't know.
collectively, the two or
Agreed.
three of us go to a
Yep.
reporter and let's
Yep.
get it out there public so we
Agree.
can point to that thing and say,
Yep.
see, we told you to do something about this 2 years ago. Now
you
what
didn't.
are you going to do?
Yeah.
And they
Right.
forced their hand.
I
you know.
think that might be the case because this accusation
Could be.
of him watching a VR porn pillow fight
Right.
at a meeting,
Yeah.
that sounds like the kind of thing. Certainly, Microsoft wouldn't leak that.
No, they would not.
That sounds like
No.
the kind of thing a disgruntled employee
Yeah.
might say. You got to understand
Right.
this guy.
Like I tried to get this out there, and you guys
Yeah.
wouldn't take it seriously,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't know how it happened, but I think it's just good to keep in mind like these things can happen that way, and that sometimes is how people
right.
Yeah, it just seems to make sense.
Politicians have done that
Yeah.
for years. They call it trial
For
balloons.
sure.
They say, well,
Yeah.
let's see if, let's send this one up, see if people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can get a bite. Yeah.
Agree. Yeah. Anyway, I think what's more interesting to me than all of this background and what happened there is now what's going to happen.
That
right?
to me is more
So-
interesting too. What does this mean for HoloLens? They've split it
Right.
up, right? That's
Right.
Is it?
Yeah.
What does that mean? It's two different divisions. I don't understand that at all. How do
Yeah.
you run?
Well-
how do you run an innovative new product with two different groups?
Yeah. So Panos has never been in charge of the HoloLens hardware, right? Like that, even though he's the hardware chief at Microsoft,
Oh, that's
he has
interesting.
never produced the HoloLens or built the HoloLens. So, I saw Dina Bass, who works at Bloomberg today, saying, I wonder if this is the end of the HoloLens hardware because is Panos going to want to do that? But here's my thought. Panos wants to do everything Apple's doing, right? Like that's building an AR headset. Panos has HoloLens, or if it's the, and then there's been speculation by Business Insider again from some reporting they did where they said maybe the future of the HoloLens is just an industrial.
This is
and
the
that
only
could be-
place that's seen success.
Yeah. Yeah. So
but
I could see that happening too. Yeah.
But they could also see them turning into a software platform similar to Windows Mixed Reality,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
they license its use to other hardware makers that want to create
There's a
either
history of that.
vertical.
That's what Windows is.
It's. I just
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. I just don't see that being successful.
Well, the part of the division that went to Jeff Teeper is the mesh
Yeah.
platform, right? So the mesh platform is the holoportation underlying layer stuff, the SDK, the stuff with Mesh for Teams.
But don't you,
You
see
could turn that into a platform.
They're going to bring. They'll bring that. That's how they'll bring it to the Oculus, or they'll
Exactly.
bring
Right.
Mesh to Oculus, or bring Mesh to whatever Apple does, or
Yes.
Meta. Yeah.
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 By the way, Apple did not say word one about
Right.
AR, VR
Their
yesterday.
headset, right.
Zero.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Did anybody expect them to though?
Yes.
Like, or are they waiting? I thought people were saying
was-
maybe not till it's more
Well,
fully baked.
we didn't think they'd
Well,
they'd show it.
Mary Jo.
Yeah.
Clearly, you don't pay attention to Apple rumors. So there was
do not.
over the course of days, this thing went all the way up and all the way down, and all there was some
Trademarked something called Reality OS, and
Yeah.
there was some
Right,
timing
right.
thing. None of that Monday, I should say. None of that.
Yeah.
They didn't say the word AR or VR at all.
Okay.
That's right. Not even right. So I think whatever.
The logic was, well, you got a bunch of developers here who are going to have to develop stuff for
I know.
this.
Yeah.
Well, no,
You
but that
would
means it's not
maybe-
coming out this year.
That's what it
right?
sounds like to
So-
me. Like it's not.
Well, it can't be. It can't.
No.
Because people are like,
If you
oh,
don't
they
have an
they-
SDK, like if
Yeah.
you don't give
Yeah,
them an
you
SDK,
can't.
what's the point of even saying it to them,
Yeah.
right? Like,
No, you're
why?
right.
Right.
Yeah. So they didn't have it.
Yep.
They have other stuff they want them to do, and they aren't that close.
Yeah. Right.
So good news, Panos. You got some time.
Yeah.
and they probably want Meta to show more of their hand before they
right.
show theirs, right?
By the way,
I would
something
guess.
else to pay attention to in this world, and I don't know enough about it to have a lengthy discussion, is Tim Sweeney, the guy that runs Epic Games, who for much of his career has been a staunch anti-Microsoft, anti-Windows Store / Microsoft Store guy. Remember 3 years ago was on stage at the last HoloLens event and
Yep.
battle that Epic has against Apple and Google. He had an interview recently where he was talking about it's interesting because of who he is and
Yeah.
how he has aligned himself against these massive big tech companies.
But he hates Apple, right? Doesn't he?
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why he's backing Meta, right? Because he can't back Microsoft. Microsoft doesn't have something in the consumer gaming space.
What
right?
about Activision? What about doing something with Activision?
Who?
Microsoft.
Who? Oh, Microsoft.
They're buying
They
Activision.
buy them.
They might. They got a lot of gaming content.
I have a
PlayStation
feeling
has
if-
announced they're going to
I
do
don't-
PlayStation VR for PS5.
Activision's going to fly through, as fast as these things can fly. If they ever came up and said, "Now we're going to partner with EA," I think the world. Yeah. Okay, hold on a second. Not so quick, there, big guy. Thing. Remember, Terry Myerson comes in. They lost in smartphones. Well, what's the next wave? Maybe it's ambient computing, Cortana, voice commands, digital assistants. I don't. What is Apple seems to be betting that? Well, Apple bet on Apple Wild. Cars kind of come and gone and maybe come back a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think the thing to always remember, and I mean, like that's what they care about. That's where their successes are. I know they want to break into consumer in a bigger way, but like the reason they broke the HoloLens up the way they did is
Which is just put their stuff on any platform that makes sense.
yeah,
And that's just pragmatic. That's the Microsoft way.
right.
But
even when they talked
keep
about Mesh,
punting.
remember? Like this is going to be a third party play, not just us, right? Not just us
Oh, they
building
did say
a
that.
closed
That's right.
ecosystem.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I was actually asleep during most of that, so I don't remember that. But
I was.
What about the campfire?
I was.
guide?
But if you still were all in on HoloLens, you don't split the division. So
No, you don't
but
need them
I don't think
together.
they.
you replace it.
I don't think they have anyone left. I
You
think
replace
I
them.
think all the
No.
So
no, not everybody left. There's still a lot of people
But
working on it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of turnover in all of these speculative
Yeah.
divisions. The Apple Card thing is a revolving door. But
Sure.
I just feel like this is Microsoft's kind of saying, yeah, we had to get rid of Kipman, but at the same time, we're not all in on this, right? Am I right?
Or we're all in on it in a very much more constrained
In a
way,
minor
like
way.
industrial headsets, right?
Which is-
industrial headsets.
I think the right
they
thing
can
to
make a
do.
lot of money on that. They
Yeah.
can make a lot of money.
They're
on
doing
that.
well in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, even Google
Would
Glass.
Panos want to make? But would Panos want to make a headset for like I don't know, like manufacturing companies? I don't know. Would he?
No, he wants
laptop Go, or a Surface Go, or a Surface SE,
Yeah.
because I think that's where his head's at. It's
Yeah.
it's the Apple thing. We want to go where Apple
Same.
is.
so silly. You go to the green fields. You don't have things to discuss, but the Kipman story is probably the big story. To test their security nowadays, that's vital, isn't it? And many of them have blue teams to remediate whatever problems the red teams discover. But communication between red and blue is, of course, paramount. And PlexTrack is perfect for all three: the red, the blue, and the purple teams. It empowers your security team to win the right battles, not spend a lot of time crafting reports. Makes your job easier, makes you more effective, makes your communication more effective and secure. Gain a real-time view of your security posture, bringing all your data sources together into one powerful platform where you can triage scanner results, generate powerful analytics and visualizations, assign remediation tasks, attest to your posture, track, because now we have a real-time view of what we need to focus on. And I have an easy way of showing senior leaders security program with features designed to improve workflow, collaboration, and communication for all roles, including Red Team data aggregation. The Red Team loves this because you can import data from all your automated vulnerability scanners and tools. You can triage. You can report results in half the time. You can use the Run module to plan your battles. It's really amazing. Blue Team loves it too for remediation. You can assign remediation tasks right on the platform. Integrations with ticketing tools that you're already using, so you have to go out and get a new ticketing tool. You can track your progress over time. And we don't emphasize this enough, but you've always got to prove ROI, right? You've always got to tell the board, the C-level executives what you're doing and why it works. So it improves the entire security engagement lifecycle by making it easy to generate them securely, tracks the issues to completion straight from the platform. So security team demo of this today. Learn more about the product and how it can support proactive security work in your organization. Try it free for a month. PlexTrack. See how it can change your life as a security professional. Go to plextrack.com/twit. Claim that free month. PLEX. I think you know that. Please use that, by the way, so they know you saw it with Paul and Mary Jo and they get credit. Plextrack.com/twit. Microsoft. I guess that's inevitable. Yeah. We finally, really? Come on.
Timely.
Timely. Oh, not finally. Yeah.
I've seen people saying this means 400 people are being cut and Microsoft's going to close its Russian operations. When I asked them, are you actually letting go 400 people? They wouldn't say that. They just said, we're significantly scaling down our operations in Russia. I said, so are people getting let go? And they wouldn't say. I said, or are you reassigning them somewhere to other offices in Europe or elsewhere? And they wouldn't say. So I'm like, what are they doing? Right?
They may not be able to get them out of there, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah, maybe.
They may not want to say, but
businesses in Russia, like customers,
Sure.
so
how are they going to do that long distance? Or
right,
yeah,
exactly.
okay.
I asked, they wouldn't say.
So okay, interesting, huh?
Yeah, I'm like, okay. So yeah, I don't know how much of this is just them. Like, we have to say this because people are pressuring us and they want us to get out of Russia. Or if there is substance to it. The fact they won't give any details is a little weird to me, but yeah.
Interesting. Amazon's unionizing.
Microsoft employees seeing that said, okay, well, I mean, you can't just let them have a union. What about us?
Yeah.
I think people, the problem with this kind of thing, I think, is going to be that Microsoft, in this case, we'll just talk about Microsoft, will change just giving them promotions in the wake of unionization because they have a union now. Your future is a lot more limited than it was before this happened.
Right. Yeah. Also, remember who authored this blog post? The head corporate lawyer at Microsoft. So there's a lot of little leeways here and there. Microsoft would prefer
down.
Yeah.
Right.
The company will come out and say, okay, you can do this, but if you don't, here's what we'll do for you. And then and some employees will vote. And
we will. Yeah.
If they're not going out and hiring a law firm, anti-unionization law firm, that's a good start.
Yeah.
I mean, you can unionize. We're just saying $17 an hour will be the base pay.
But if you feel like that's necessary, that's great. We care about our employees.
Right.
Employees are rallying to unionize because it just feels like such a concerted
It's a vote
effort.
of no confidence.
Sure.
It's like
It
saying
is.
you're not taking care of us.
Exactly.
So we're going to
went by.
No,
that's
right.
I'm sure there was some frustration there.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's really
and who knows how many other things like that are going on.
Yeah, we don't know.
No,
Inside knows.
And the old days, not so old days, mini Microsoft. Remember that guy? Like he would publicize them to deal with them because they got employees riled up. He's taking a low-level approach and hasn't said anything in a long time.
I think one day a red light shone through the window from a distant building.
Right on his
Mini
chest.
Microsoft was no more.
Never mind.
I think he feels like he isn't needed the way he was under the Ballmer and Gates regimes, perhaps.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kidman begs to differ, sir.
Let's talk, now that I'm a proud Windows 11 user,
Yeah.
I did not, you told me that I could and maybe should go to 22H2, but I just thought, I'm going to live with what I got.
Yeah.
I'm not a seeker, man.
That means, this is the final build. We already kind of knew it was 22621 is the RTM, right? It's in release preview. They're trying to get corporate customers to test it now and put it on commercial devices. Preview also can get it now and check it out. If you
After all the warnings says recommended beta channel, maybe I should do release preview is what you're saying.
Yeah, so just to be clear about what we're looking at here, when you think about Dev Channel, Dev Channel in some ways should be called experimental channel. It's not tied to any version of Windows.
Yeah.
And it's also a one-way street for the most part. Every once in a while, they'll open a little window where you can get out of that is to pave the thing from space and just do a clean install.
And it says there will be some rough edges and low stability.
Yeah.
You're on the moon,
the beta
dude.
Channel, I think it was last week, or 2 weeks ago maybe, I talked about the different ways you could get onto 22H2 today. So this is one of the ways. It doesn't really change anything. You can get into the release preview channel instead of beta. It's the same thing today. Can't get out, so you have to restart.
Okay.
No, it's okay. Just restart.
Okay, and then when I restart, it'll give me a chance to say I don't want. I don't want to.
Actually,
it was an accident.
Maybe I'll leave it on release preview.
Well, actually, why don't you just reboot
I feel like
it so
that's
you can
very
see
safe.
Yeah.
You can see the option I was talking
restarting.
about at least.
Yeah. Takes a little while.
Yeah.
So
So when this thing comes back, just run settings again.
Okay. Nice. So if I've got a microphone in front of my face or whatever, and the hello doesn't work, the pic.
Yeah.
I feel like fingerprints maybe. Do you think fingerprints a little more secure than face?
Or face because I want to explicitly sign in.
Yeah.
I don't want it signed in because I'm nearby, and maybe it's got me on like a wide-angle view or something. And all right, so go down to Windows and there you go. Now,
a newer
see,
build is
stop.
available. Okay.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
So
now I can shut this off.
that's right. Yep, that's right.
Or unenroll this device immediately.
Right.
That requires a clean install of the latest release of Windows. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, you're.
That's all right. I'm going to stick with it. Let's do it.
Release preview is very safe of all the channels.
Yeah, but go back.
Okay.
Go back.
Go back. Windows Insider program. Go back.
Go to the stop thing.
Stop. Okay. Stop getting preview builds. Yeah.
And that option that says unenroll.
Yeah.
Turn that on.
Right now.
Because this way, when 22H2 comes out, you'll pop right back out to stable.
It'll be stable.
That's right.
You're brilliant.
Good job.
And I will get updates on 22H2.
That's right. Yep, you'll just move forward normally now.
Okay. So let's do it. What could possibly go wrong?
All kinds of things, Leo.
Yeah.
At least, unlike in years earlier, I'm not recording on this machine.
And next week we'll do a little special on data restore and whatnot. It'll be fun.
Putting Linux on your brand new Windows computer.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's downloading 22H.
Fall, September, October. Then the build will come out. Once the day they say it's ready and it's rolling out to mainstream, that's when the support clock starts ticking on the feature update, right? So users outside of this feature update, even though they said there would only be one feature update a year and everybody did a little happy dance out in cumulative updates, there's no rhyme or reason that we can figure out as far as a schedule before feature pack, before feature update comes
maybe
out.
that File Explorer tabs thing just appears one day. There's no way to know. Yep,
No way to
you're
know.
right.
There's no way to know.
No,
The thing I will say, Windows 11 shipped in such an incomplete state last October that was 3 or 4 different things. I don't remember what was in it. It's not really not a big deal, but we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised between now and the end of the year if we saw functional updates to 22H2. Yep.
Same. Yep. But the feature update is the only one where the support clock starts ticking. Just so you know, like if you get those cumulative updates, it doesn't affect how long Windows 11 is supported. It only is hinged around these feature updates.
Okay. It's true.
But I mean, in terms of what is the significance of this announcement this week, it just means they're getting closer to rolling out 22H2. I can't even remember if there are any. I think we kind of decided last week there weren't any really significant updates in 22H2.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Do you think there are?
Apparently,
New accent
Paul is
color
hurt.
for new accent
There are-
colors.
There are
choices
improvements
on
across
task.
the board, but I wouldn't say there are any dramatic improvements.
That's
but,
what I mean. There's incremental very incremental things like grouping your apps in a folder on your start menu. Woohoo! That kind of stuff.
Well, they brought back the ability to drag and drop a file onto an app icon in the taskbar. That
Oh yeah,
was a big
true. Okay,
functional
okay, that's
regression in-
a
in the
pretty good
original
one.
release.
That's a pretty good one.
I think the discoverability of the snap layouts is really nice. That's a new feature.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll find out in moments.
You will. Well, not in moments, but in hours.
Someday.
At some point.
Yeah.
By next week.
Yeah. Let us know how that goes. You'll be fine.
Yeah. But business users, if you're planning to roll out 22H2 en masse to your customers later this year, if you have people on Windows 11, you probably want to start kicking the tires now. That's
Yeah.
why this is out there.
Yeah.
Right.
IT professionals.
Yeah.
Yes.
And actually,
Right. Leave it to the professionals.
Leave it to the pros.
And I guess to back up what Mary Jo said, and also to once again bizarrely defend Microsoft, if you accept that 22H2 is not a massive functional upgrade, maybe that's for the best, right? I mean, the
Right.
times that Microsoft has tried to do a big functional update,
Yep.
those have not gone so well, right? And so you kind of want the slow and steady approach, and I think that's what we're getting here.
Yeah.
So your tip worked still, even with this release preview channel.
That's right.
Good.
Yeah, it doesn't change the thing.
Good.
Yep.
Yay. I'm living proof.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see, right? Yeah.
We'll see.
And this build has the Microsoft Store in ARM. That's interesting.
So this is a different thing. So this is a dev channel build. So
This is not the release
this is
candidate.
something-
This is something.
No,
else,
this
yeah.
is something that could come 23H2. It could be
Right.
an interim, cumulative update, like Mary Jo was saying. But they released a dev channel build. I think it was last Thursday. I think they try to do it on Wednesday now, but sometimes it slips. Sometimes they skip. It just doesn't work out that week. But the new dev channel build added, among other things, a couple small things, but an ARM native version of the Microsoft Store, which means that to date, the Microsoft Store that's available in the Windows and ARM builds for Windows 10 or 11 is an x86 app that's running an emulation,
Wow.
which is kind of crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like you hear that and you're like, wait, what? Like this wasn't native the whole time? Okay. So I guess they're moving it native. So it's, again, a little small step for ARM, big step for mankind. I don't know. Kind of moment, I guess. So anyways, in some future version of Windows 11, the ARM store will be, the Microsoft Store will be native on ARM versions of Windows 11. Exciting.
And Windows on ARM is still beta. It's not.
No, it's out. It's
out?
generally available.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's just terrible. It's I just brought up you can't see it actually, but I brought up it's an HP Elite Folio, which is a gorgeous computer, like a black faux leather cover, convertible form factor, perfect keyboard, really elegant looking, modern, and it runs Windows, it's probably an 8CX chipset or whatever. It's garbage. It's just
Yeah,
garbage.
I was
Hot
disappointed
garbage.
because that was the laptop I
Yep.
wanted. I wanted a leather
Beautiful
laptop.
looking. It's gorgeous. Every time I bring it out, I'm like, oh my god, I love this thing.
know.
And then you actually turn it on and wait for it to come up and
Put
you're like,
Linux
oh,
on it,
right.
Paul. Actually, you may not be able to. HP's hard to get Linux on.
Well, plus it's ARM. I mean,
Well, Linux has ARM. ARM and Linux are like this.
ARM and Linux. Leo, you're crazy.
That's not a problem. Somebody in the chat room, I don't remember his name, was saying that even though he can't get Windows 11, he's not eligible. He keeps getting pushed with Windows 11. I think he's even getting pushed 22H2, which is hysterical.
Yeah. So this is a story that just came out. It's not clear exactly what's happening here. I think it might
got
be
an update
insider
for you.
builds only. Oh, good. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. So yeah, this came from Reddit, right? Like people were out complaining on Reddit, like I'm getting push 22H2, but my
I've gotten
PC
email
doesn't
from people
comply.
who got it.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
So Brandon LeBlanc, who is program manager on Insider Program, just said, we're investigating an issue where banner for Windows 11 22H2 is showing for PCs that are not eligible, and we are working to fix it.
Okay, so it is exactly what I suspected and what I wrote back to
Yep.
the two people who emailed me, which is this feels like a mistake on Microsoft's part.
Yep.
So there you go. Oh,
And
because
if you
mean
try
it could
to
actually run
install
just
it-
fine on those computers?
No, if you try to install it, you get
Oh,
an
no.
error. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
So,
Okay, that's
mistake.
I didn't mean to say
Yeah.
that's good, but all right, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yep.
No, but at least it makes sense, because if it wasn't a mistake, then you have to wonder, like, what are they going to relax the requirements when 22H2 comes out, or like what's
Well,
going
yeah,
on?
especially
right?
if it's an insider build, you're thinking, well, maybe for 23H2 or something, they'll let in some more computers or some more generations or whatever. But no,
Yeah. No, so far
guess
they're
not.
saying it's
Okay, there you
an
go.
error. It is in error. Yeah. Sorry,
an
everyone.
unearned error, as we call it.
An unearned error. Yes.
Okay. I think Leo's
They're
gone, so let's
fixing it.
press on.
Okay. All right. Well, good, because this story is very important, guys. Exchange Server.
Is it?
Yes, because 2 years ago, Microsoft said the next version of Exchange Server that people could run on premises would be out in 2021. They said there'd be a new version of Exchange Server, a new version of SharePoint Server, a new version of Skype for Business Server, and a new version of Project Server. Okay, so 2021 comes along, and you get the new version of SharePoint Server, which is called SharePoint Server, also the Project Server, subscription editions. So what these are is they're on-premises versions of the products. They have a lot of new features that already have been in the online versions being added to on-premises. And to use them, you have to buy a subscription to get security updates and feature updates. So it's kind of like a hybrid. It is on premises completely, but you have to have a subscription to get the updates. They say nothing about Exchange.
Okay.
They say nothing about Skype for Business. Time goes by. I keep getting emails from readers like, where is the next version of Exchange Server? I keep emailing Microsoft. They said we have nothing to share. I'm like, okay, so what is happening, right? Like, are they going to stop building Exchange Server for on-prem? I know a lot of customers want this, right? So then they come out with an update and said, you know what? We've been thinking a lot about this, and because of all the security issues that have happened involving Exchange over the past several years, we're going to really revamp what we're doing with the next version of Exchange Server. And in the interim, we're going to keep supporting Exchange Server 2019, and we're going to add more features and functionality to that. So if you're somebody who's been sitting around waiting for the next Exchange, you should just upgrade to Exchange Server 2019, because they're going to support that until 2025 in October now. And that's when the next version of Exchange will come out on premises, is 2025. So some people are very alarmed about this. They're like, wait, so they're gonna support Exchange Server till 2025, but at the same time they're gonna roll out the new Exchange in 2025, right? So that's a little concerning, because that's not a big window of opportunity, right? Like, say you're on 2019, and suddenly here's the new version, but you've got like a month before support ends, right? So they're saying we're going to make it as
everyone will just move to the cloud in the interim.
I know. That's what some people said. This is a way to push people to the cloud. But the people on the Exchange Server team are saying, no, that's not what we're trying to do. We're going to make it so easy to upgrade from 2019 to whatever the next version is called, if it's called 2025 or whatever. We're building all these kinds of things in, so you're not going to have to change your hardware. You're not going to have to redo your mailboxes, all these things. So it's going to be a super easy and fast upgrade. So they're acting like, don't worry, we got this. Even if we give you a month to upgrade, you're going to be okay.
Anybody who's running Exchange Server on-prem is used to constant, continuous
Yes, they
pain
are.
and suffering.
Yes, they are.
Used to abuse
but
it.
there's so many people. So many people still do it.
Are still
because of
really a lot of people running on-prem?
Yes.
For security
because of
reasons or privacy?
compliance.
Yeah,
compliance, privacy, right? Yeah, that's primarily who I hear from.
Probably this is probably
Yes.
not related, but there's another Microsoft post today on Devlogs about Exchange Online and how
Yeah.
they're moving that product to .NET. They call it .NET Core, which is goofy. They're moving it to .NET 6 is what they're doing, right?
Yeah,
So what
okay.
used to call .NET Core. So I guess the current version is largely written in C#, which I would imagine on-prem Exchange is not. And it must be on the .NET framework, 4.7 or 4.8 or whatever, the legacy .NET, right?
Yeah.
But I wonder, this seems like a big engineering effort, right? It's not
Yeah.
as simple as going to
No.
Visual Studio, checking the .NET, $6
Yeah.
and recompiling. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of
Yeah.
work to do here. But
They're
I
doing a
wonder
lot
if this
to-
is in any way impacting. Yeah.
It could be like security related somehow, right? Because there's so many security issues that have affected Exchange over the past several
that's
years.
Right.
that-
It's been awful.
Right?
Oh my
Yeah.
God. It's just nonstop.
Yeah. And if you're wondering about,
but
so
also,
that's the update on Exchange Server on-prem. But if you're somebody who's also waiting for Skype for Business, the next version on-prem, and I have a lot of people also waiting for that, we have no info, none. No info. They aren't saying
I would
anything.
be shocked
still.
if there was a new version of that product.
There's supposed to be.
I can't
No, there
believe
is.
that no, I know there's
There's
supposed to be,
supposed
but now that a couple of years, there's supposed to be
No,
a
you
lot
know-
of things. We're supposed to have flying cars
No.
by now too, but
No, you know what? You know why they do this? Because they have big customers who demand it, basically. And they're like, I'm not buying this unless you can promise me. And they even said in the Exchange blog, this is not necessarily our last version of Exchange Server on-prem. Like, there could be more and likely will be more in the future because there are customers who are like, I can't see an end date for when I'm going to get off Exchange on-prem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the part of Microsoft that's like Oracle. It's just like
Yes.
or SAP
going
or
with the-
something. Just
yes,
big
yep.
monster enterprise.
Right. And they got to do what the
Well-
customers want because they're the big customers, like the Fortune 50 type customers.
this Exchange Online thing is this is a different part of Microsoft because if you think about like why would you move a code base to .NET 6 today, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's
the
a good
number
question. Why?
The number one answer that any developer would tell you, and it's true based on what I've read, is performance improvements, right? It's .NET 6 is significantly better performance than .NET 5 and 3.x
Okay.
and
That's
whatever
a
we
good
go
reason.
back to the cloud.
Yeah.
But they also, so they say that. They're like, yep, we're doing it that. And then, but then it starts to fall off the side of a cliff. It's like, there's three reasons, right? So the second reason is .NET Framework is no longer being actively developed, it is actively being supported and will be some work that was blazing a trail to the future. Okay. It's good that they're doing that work, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to look at that more closely a little later, but that's, maybe it's unrelated.
All right, little.
I don't-
Probably had her head under her covers. Yes, Monday. But you watched the Apple event, Paul.
I didn't even know there was an Apple event.
I love it. But Paul, I could see your, because one of the things I thought about, and it was weird, but Apple announced. You said, and I'm reading this as we're doing it. Nobody wants to collaborate,
Okay.
but okay, we'll talk payment platform. They don't pay much attention. They use somebody, and it maybe by now you're starting to realize, which of course is a big part of your bottom line. It reduces fraud, yes, and increases approval rates. Plus, it's alternative payment methods, including cryptocurrencies. Local 46 countries, more than 200 global markets. Now you get some idea, right? And I'll tell you, the best way to kind of assess all this is who do they work with? Who uses Nuvei? Problem. Wix uses Nuvei. Valve uses Nuvei. General Motors, Valve team of 24/7/365 human support professionals. Somebody will answer your call. Nuvei prepares your business for whatever comes next. NUVEI, the platform fast forwarding to the next generation of payments. Turn payments into powerful accelerators for your business. Nuvei.com, NUVEI.com. Nuvei, tomorrow's payment about your, what Paul's thinking as he's watching this. You're the loyal opposition, or maybe disloyal, I don't know. But, your point of view is important. You're muted right now, by the way.
No, I feel like I'm just clear-eyed about it. I think
That's
they do
another
some
way
good
to
stuff.
put it. Yeah.
Well, it's the Paul positive way to put it. I mean, it's like the it's
No, I always want your take. I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
By the way, for whatever it's worth, we were talking earlier, Mary Jo and I, about the Apple thing, and she said exactly the right thing, which is, she said, I feel like what they do is always incremental, and I'm like, yeah, that's almost always true. And iPad multitasking specifically. Most years there'll be like a little advance. 1 year they skipped it entirely. 1 year they added like mouse and trackpad. That was huge. And then this year they're doing yet another step. And yeah, it's incremental. They never will just just make it like a Mac. No. We'll probably get there eventually, but it might take like 10 years. The iPad is 12 years old. They've really baby stepped into this stuff. And that's what Apple is. But you do something that people have wanted for a million years, like actually look at the lock screen and be able to do something with it, which is useless today on an iPhone. You get like a standing ovation for this. It's like, why didn't you do this 10 years ago? Because they're Apple. Like they move really ploddingly. I mean, it's just the way they are. But they present everything like it's the greatest innovation that's ever happened. And these days, because they're doing these virtual events, it's like the same budget as a Star Wars movie, so special effects, they're zooming around like it's Mission Impossible or something. And it's like, yeah, okay, but I don't feel like those things are going to age very well, personally. But
yeah, the initial reaction for people who installed the developer beta since the event on Monday was, it's kind of a mess, but it is very early. Public beta is next month. I think it's more important than that, because I think what Apple's saying is we are going to make these very powerful. By the way, it doesn't apply to most iPads, just the most powerful.
No, and they never said that, and that's true. You need an M1 based iPad. There's
for
only
a lot of
two.
Some Airs will do it as well.
Okay, no, I'm talking for that specific multitask,
stage manager. Yeah. But you want something powerful. It really, I think they're saying is we're going to have two different computing systems.
Right.
The M1 iPads, which are as powerful as the desktops, but are touch, and so they're not going to do what Microsoft did, which try to shoehorn touch into a desktop operating system. They're bifurcating. They're not going to make macOS more like iPad. They're not going to make iPad more like macOS.
Yeah.
They're going to be.
They're actually. You're right, but I would say they're trifurcating because they've created a world in which there are now two different kinds of what's on iPad.
Yeah,
I mean, like there are two different kinds of iPads now. There are iPads that can do this stuff and iPads that can't, and some of them are the same size. Some of them are smaller. That's cute, whatever. But the Apple approach is quirky. I will say some of the stuff they do grows on me, even though I'm initially opposed to it. Like that app library, the thing they added to iOS a few versions back. I was like, just add an all apps screen, for crying out loud. And there's a weird series of swipes you have to do just to get to that all apps list. But the thing is, as goofy as it is, I actually kind of like App Library. Like I often find what I need in those thumbnails and don't have to go any further. And it actually kind of works. And I think their goofy way of thinking differently, for lack of a better term.
They're not giving you an Explorer, a file Explorer.
No.
They're not giving you a Finder, but they are giving you more capable files. Right. I think that this is just going to be desktop computing for people who grew up with iOS, with iPhones.
And that's everybody.
30. Yeah, it's everybody now.
Unfortunately, so
young
it's
people.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, this solves a problem they had, which is they even do ads for iPads saying, "What's a computer?" Right?
Sure.
But it is a computer. In fact, it's the pros are very, very capable, and nothing's ever lived up. The software's never lived up to the power of the hardware. It's
goofy that Apple's the thing holding the iPad back, right?
Yeah.
Because when the iPad first arrived, there was this kind of debate, and that we would have had in the Windows 8 timeframe as well. Like, do you take this really complex thing, Windows, and bring it down and add touch, which didn't work so well, or do you take this really simple thing, iOS, put it on a larger device and kind of bring it up and add functionality to it? And so Apple has gone that route. I would say it's worked out pretty well. It would have worked out even better if they had just moved a little more quickly. They're plotting refusal to make this thing full featured for the people that want that is so goofy.
Well, they still have
Apple,
they still have a Mac. I mean, they still have the Air and the MacBook Air and stuff, and so The MacBook Air functionally isn't so very different than an iPad. It's about the same size. It has a keyboard. That's the big difference, and it's running Mac OS.
Well, it doesn't have touch. There's no touch.
Yeah. Well, I think they're saying there's going to be,
Yeah.
I think they're kind of on an interesting path. I also think that this collaboration thing is very interesting. The other thing somebody said about this new whiteboard app that they just hinted at, it looked like a shared whiteboard, is this could also be for them a step towards AR. That this may end up being an AR productivity app.
Okay.
Take away the white, and you've got floating widgets.
Yep.
You could put videos in there, documents, web pages, text, notes, drawings.
Yeah. Look, I for people who are in that ecosystem, I'll just say you're all going to hell, and I don't know what you no, it's
well, that's the other thing. They made a massive ecosystem play because all of this stuff is, only works best. I mean, if you got all Apple, don't even try to use an Android phone with this. You'd be nuts.
That's
right.
And look, those advantages are real. I mean, there's some incredible stuff there.
Yeah.
I'm using an iPhone right now with this Windows computer with a cable and the software called
You're using Camo. Yeah.
And
they Sherlocked
Apple is
Camel.
building that into Mac OS, whatever.
They Sherlocked
And
them.
they're going to let you mount your iPhone on top of your laptop like it's a giant webcam and use it that way. And okay, I mean, that's great. I mean, you already have the best camera in the world is in your pocket, and you're not using it for web calls. So here's a way to do that. I mean,
Camo, to its credit, works with Android, which, of course, this Apple technology will not.
Well, and it also works with an iPhone with a Windows computer, which the iPhone will, Apple will not support.
The other thing that they announced, which I think is really important, is passkeys. They're going to they're joining with Google and Microsoft. They're going to add passkeys. I think finally we are seeing the beginning of the end of passwords.
Yeah, thank God Apple had to step in to make that happen, because God knows we haven't been doing it in the Windows world for 2 years or whatever.
Well, but now everybody's doing it, I guess is the point,
that's
right?
Good. Yeah, that's good.
And Steve Gibson raised an interesting question yesterday. He said, but is it interoperable? In other words, if I start with an iPhone, can I move to an Android phone? If I start with a Mac?
Only someone who's never used an iPhone would ever ask that question. That's hilarious. I love Steve Gibson, but
it's a great question. Apple apparently says it is. They had a track yesterday at WWDC, and they said there is an export.
I enjoy that they introduced that feature without mentioning any industry support whatsoever. It was just like an Apple thing. Although they did talk about Matter, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
This doesn't impact us too much, but this smart home standard is humongous, and Google is going all out supporting it as well.
Yeah.
So Matter matters or whatever, but that was good.
I'm less excited about home automation. I kind of feel like that ship has sailed, but passkeys is going to change everybody's life, I think. Because
you know what Matter is like is to smart home what Quick Pair is to Bluetooth. It's just making it a little bit simpler. And also, I think the cross ecosystem thing is huge. Most smart home devices will work with HomeKit and work with Google Assistant or whatever it's called. But I think just having you need a standard. I think it's fine. It's not going to change my life, but I think it's a good thing.
Well, anyway, there you go. That's our quick and dirty Paul take on WWDC.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's enough.
Yeah, that's enough. Yeah. That's more than enough.
More than they deserve.
Way more.
Poor Mary Jo. She's got this, and still Xbox to come.
I know.
Let's talk about the Windows App SDK, though, before we move on.
Yeah, so this is that thing that used to be called Project Reunion. It was the attempt by Microsoft to decouple what used to be UWP capabilities from specific versions of Windows 10 and now Windows 11, and make them available to all versions of Windows that are currently supported, right? So that alone is kind of a big deal. It doesn't erase the central problem with UWP, which is that it's a WinRT-based set of APIs that is really designed for mobile apps. I guess it's hard. I've been working with this a lot lately, and I'm having trouble understanding what the point of this is. But I believe that when you create a Windows App SDK app, it's actually technically a desktop app, but I don't know what that means to. It's really a non-coupled UWP, I don't know what it is. It's very strange. But you get the newer capabilities like WinUI 3. So if you look at something like the version of Notepad that's in Windows 11, I don't actually know for a fact that was created with WinUI 3, other than the fact that I'm trying to recreate it with the Windows App SDK, and it looks identical. So to me, you get access to all those, the new materials, that new WinUI stuff, the new text rendering, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, App SDK 1.0 came out, I think, in November. And App SDK 1.1 was supposed to come out during build, and it just came out this past week. So it was delayed by about a week and a half or whatever. And, what's new? I mean, push notifications, support for multiple windows. The original version supported like windowed applications, obviously, and a few other things. There's really not a lot going on there, but it's just the latest version. It supports Mica, that opaque background material that Mary Jo probably notices in all the new apps, because it's super different from acrylic.
Oh, I thought you meant Mica Sargent, which is,
it doesn't support Mica site. There's no Mac support. Anyway, it's out now, so. I'm probably going to write something about the Windows App SDK. I'm not sure I'm going to do the full app thing. I might just explain how you would bring it up, because the UWP project I made, you could basically just copy and paste. It would work in Windows App SDK. I don't know. I'm looking into that, but there's some neat stuff you can do. They actually have some good starter projects you can get where you automatically get things like that slide out settings pane and the ability to go between dark and light themes and stuff like that. Like, they actually build templates for you now that you can get all that stuff for free. So there's some niceties to it, but not a major release by any stretch of the imagination. But a release, as we call it.
A release.
A release. It is a release. It's like Windows 11. It's not a major release, but it is a release.
Yeah.
All right. There's no way around it, Mary Jo. We've got to do it. It's Xbox time.
It looks short, at least.
Thank
it is
God.
Short.
Thank
it
God.
It is very short. Because what used to be called E3 and will next year be called E3 again is not happening this coming, making announcements. In fact, I'll just do this a little bit out of order. Activision today announced Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, or as I call it, the thing I will be spending my next year and a half playing. So I haven't, because this happened just as we were starting the show, I haven't really been able to watch this, but there's some single-player stuff happening, multiplayer. They're talking about all the content they're going to release in the wake of this. They really want to make up for the disaster that was the last World War II game. So this is probably going to be a really big release. The remake, or whatever you want to call it, the redo of the Modern Warfare title that came out, I guess, 3 years ago now, was probably the biggest game they ever released. And this is obviously the sequel. So they're doing the trilogy again. This is coming out on October 28th, which I think is Bill Gates' birthday.
Oh.
I don't know why I know that.
How nice to celebrate. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, next year, so they
Really?
that.
Are they? Really?
Yeah, they're right. Well, that's what they said.
What? Hey, we could have a show.
Or as we would call it in Mexico, Mohang Studios.
Mohang Studios.
I tell you, we know a guy then whose name is Joel, or as they call him in Mexico, Joel. Which is a really hard thing to say.
Yeah.
So those two things are completely incompatible. Today, they have released the Minecraft Java and Bedrock.
So what does that mean?
So I don't think they've actually combined them. There's a single launcher where you can get into either. Minecraft Java Edition is still like that legacy version.
So it's a unified launcher. Okay.
It's a unified. I believe yes, it is. Java and Bedrock will remain separate games with their own distinctive features.
Yeah. See, I wanted to be able to let Bedrock. I want to play, for instance, on my server on the iPad with Bedrock, but I can't. Right. That's a Java server. So,
what you want is ray tracing and all those, those awesome features they're starting to build.
Ray traced Minecraft is wild.
Yeah. No, they're going to remain separate. But what they're doing now is, instead of having them as two separate things, you buy kind of separately. Like you just get them both together. I don't know. Yeah. Did I ever play? I don't think I ever played the Java version. I don't think so.
Man, I played it nonstop. I still play it once in a while. Yeah. Kids do. We have a Club Twit two Minecraft servers for Club Twit. We have a hard survival game that's really hard. And we have the old Twit build that OMG Chad did. That's the whole, the studio and everything. It's huge. It's a beautiful build. So those I run both of those, and Club
So-
Twit members can get in those.
Given that this would have been E3 and that there will almost certainly be a ton of announcements between now and next week, I'm suggesting that maybe Mary Jo comes up with some kind of a jury duty excuse or something for next
To
week.
feed my cat.
Guys, call the next big game, Call of Jury Duty. You heard it here.
Call of jury duty. That's awesome.
That could be a real zombie game. That'd be fun. Yeah. Call of Jury Duty. All right. Michael still plays COD. He likes the zombie level.
Zombies, yeah.
Plays it all
Yep.
the time. Still plays it. With all the games he has, he still plays
I
it.
never got into zombie. I tried it, each time.
You have to like that kind of game, which is a little weird.
It's the type of, I like the graphical style of it. I've often
Yeah, it's
said
cool.
that
It's
there's no
fun.
better
Yeah.
thing to shoot than a Nazi zombie. I mean, my
Yeah.
God, it's the most guilt-free crime imaginable.
Yeah, they deserved it.
You know?
When we set up the Minecraft server, I wanted to make it easy to remember. Not just enter in an IP address. So what did I do? I went to our sponsor, hover.com, and I got a domain just for the Minecraft server. It was kind of fun because I said to Michael, who was at the time maybe 14, 15, I said, what do you want to name it? I'm not going to say what it is, but I mean, you still couldn't get in, but I don't want to give out the name. But it's hysterical. And I said, okay, went to hover.com, registered it, and now it's easy for him and anybody else. And actually, who knows it? The people in Club Twit who go to that server, because that's the name. It's pretty funny. Hover is a great way to get domain names. Something silly like your Minecraft server, something serious like your business, your portfolio if you're a photographer, an artist, an online store, your blog. I could never get Leo.com because, various people own it. So I went to Hover, I typed in Leo and got a whole bunch of choices. Finally ended up doing Leo.fm. That's actually shorter than Leo.com. I love it. If you want to make just something as simple as a more memorable redirect to your LinkedIn page, Hover has the best domain names for you, and email too. In fact, I really want to put in a plug for this. On the radio show, we get people all the time saying, my AOL email is broken. I can't get into my Yahoo mail. And I want to make a plug for, if you use email, it's important to you, don't use a free service. Pay a little bit. Not a lot. It's a few bucks a year, but pay a little bit so that you've got a better email. And Hover's got that. Not just, Leo at yahoo.com. It's your custom domain name. So if you're a business, so much better. If you're a plumber, a carpenter, a hamburger joint, a dry cleaner, to have your businessname.com. Hover has it for you. Or, they have some fun ones too. If you're a pizza joint, you can get .pizza. Leo.pizza, man. That would be a good name for a pizza parlor, right? Easy to set up. And if you get Hover Mail, it's domain-based. You can add as many mailboxes to your domain as you need, and you don't have to think about it because when your domain renews, your mailboxes renew too. It's a very affordable choice. If email is important to you, stop using Gmail. Stop using free solutions. Get your own domain name. Get email Hover. You're going to get better support, much better, real support, actual support. You're going to get a great service. They have webmail, so you can use your browser to check your email, but you can also use any mail client. It's standard IMAP mail. I love it. And Hover, the other thing I love about Hover, they're Canadian. They're nice. They don't upsell you. They're not there just to get you to sign up for a bunch of stuff. Some of those other registrars, you sign up for a domain name, there's 20 pages of other things that you have to say, no, I don't want that. No, I don't want that. No, I don't want that. Hover's not pushy. No, they know you're going to want, for instance, who has privacy. They don't upsell you on that. They give it to you. It's included with your domain purchase. That's important. In fact, anytime you register a domain name, because as part of the registration process, your email, your address, your name, phone number become public. So you want who has privacy to hide that so that you don't get spam and get weird people calling you, stuff like that. That's something everybody wants. Hover knows that. They don't upsell it. They just build it in. You also get the best pro-level tools. Whether you're a web pro and you know all there is to know about DNS, that you'll like the DNS management console. If not, they have simple one-button connects to almost all the main websites. Hover Connect, they call it. It lets you start using your domain name with a couple of clicks. The point at Hover is you're a customer, not a source of data. So take back control of your data with reliable email, tracker-free. Hover's trusted by hundreds of thousands of customers. All my domains are registered at Hover. I literally have dozens. Turn your ideas into a reality, or your Minecraft server into a clever name. Whether you're a developer, photographer, small business, Hover has something for you to expand your projects and get the visibility you want. And if you're doing email and your company name is not in the email, go to hover.com/twit right now. You'll get 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension, and they've got dozens for the first year. Hover.com/twit, 10% off your domain extension for a full year. We love Hover. Thank you, Hover, for supporting Windows Weekly, and Paul and Mary Jo, and you support them too when you go to hover.com/twit, hover.com/twit. Okay, Paul, time for the back of the book. Yes?
When on earth did you have time to put a sticker on that laptop?
Well, one thing, I was Jim Latterback, bless his heart, when we were at Tech TV, he was the guy who wrote the ethics policy. And one thing he did is he went around the whole studio and he taped over all the brand names and all the monitors and all the computers because he said, no, we're not, this is something we're using, we're not plugging. So I make it a habit of doing that. And I happen to have a nice little Twit sticker. Now, the way it's angled, you can't really tell, but if I tilt it, you might see that Dell sticker, the Dell silvery Dell beneath it. But if it's tilted like that, you can't tell. Clever, eh? Now, that's my tip of the week. What's yours?
I have 3.
3.
It's a big week for tips.
Woohoo!
For some reason. So this one's just basic. So contrary to Mary Jo's assertion that there's nothing new in Windows 11 22H2, I've started a series describing those new features.
Oh, good. I have to read.
The start menu and the taskbar. And let me see. I have a list of... Probably should have had this ready. It's in here somewhere. But I'll be, if this ever comes up. Yeah, so Snap Screen, Task Manager, Settings, and Accessibility are all coming. So there'll be more. So this adding the Windows 11 visual style to Microsoft Edge. So last week, Microsoft released Edge version 102, which didn't seem to have much in the way of new features, but actually you can set a flag and enable, and it will basically display an option in settings that will enable the Windows 11 visual style. And then there's a second option, and this is that tab thing we were talking about earlier, where you can also use rounded corners for browser tabs. And what that does is it makes the browser tabs kind of separate and float as little rounded rectangles. Some people don't like that, obviously, so you don't have to do that. That's optional. You don't have to do any of this, actually, but it's a separate option, so you can do that as well if you would like to get the full experience. I think it looks nice, personally. And then the third one, and this is weird because it actually comes from my wife. My wife spends, I bet she interviews at least one person almost every single day. This is how she spends her life. When she writes, a lot of it is based on interviews with doctors and so forth. And she records these calls using Zoom. And then she uses a feature that's only in Word for Web. It's not in Word for Windows, that will transcribe any audio or video file for you. You need a Microsoft 365 account to do this. There's actually a limit on how much you can do per month, which I don't believe Microsoft documents, but she has run into this limit because she transcribes so much. And so let me see if I can find the limit. The limit is 300 minutes of transcription per month. If you're on 298 minutes and you have to transcribe a 60-minute call, it will actually do that for you. So it's, the last transcription, once it crosses over 300, you're done for the month. So the reason I know this feature exists is because she, almost every month, she hits this limit. And at the end of the month, she still starts sending me files and say, hey, do you mind transcribing this? That's funny. This has happened enough. So this is how this has benefited me, right? So I go back and I watch all these old Microsoft events on YouTube. And a lot of them are not on official channels. They don't have transcriptions. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of YouTube videos actually have automatic transcriptions. That's something you can do with most YouTube videos. But a lot of the ones I've been watching for this series I've been writing do not. So I can download the file, the video, put it up into Word for Web, transcribe it, pop it down, and then I can use, instead of having to sit there and try to type everything exactly like they say it, I can get a transcription that way. So kind of a fun little thing to know about. I don't think most people do know about that. You do need a Microsoft 365 account.
So
which ones accounts? Can it be personal,
works with-
consumer?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know about it. Yeah, it's pretty good
Yep.
transcription.
No, I don't think anyone knows about it.
Yeah.
It's a great feature.
Because there's, I use commercial services like Otter.ai,
Yeah.
but they're not free. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they're free,
Yeah.
but they're
That's
not
right.
free forever. All right, walk me through this Edge thing.
Yes.
To
Okay,
make it
let
look
me bring that back up.
purty.
Yeah, actually, the easiest thing for you to do
the tab.
in the notes.
Oh,
if you
click
go
on
to,
your link.
tip-
Okay. Yeah.
'cause
Let
Tip of the
me.
week number 2, right?
Yeah.
Because what it has is the exact link to go. Like instead of going to flags and searching, it has the exact link to go to it. So it's like Edge flags.
Oh, but
Edge
I should
visual
do that
YouTube,
in. Okay, so I need
Edge.
to do that in Edge. So,
So what you do that, and then you restart.
there it is. Edge.
Then when you go into Edge settings and go to Appearance, there's going to be a new option there called Show Windows 11 Visual Effects in the title bar and toolbar.
Got it.
Preview.
All right,
Enable
let me
that
do
option,
that.
restart the browser again, and then you get the Windows 11 look and
Okay,
feel.
here we go. Here's Edge settings. It's show experimental experience settings. Should I change that?
Yep.
Yep.
To enabled.
Enabled. All right.
Right.
And then
restart at the lower
that's
right.
all? Just to restart and that's it? Oh, there's still more? Okay.
Oh, no, there's more. So then
Yeah?
now go
Okay.
to settings. So the little ... menu in the upper
Oh, you
right.
do that before because you have to turn that experiment on.
Yeah.
And now
Well,
I go to
now
settings.
it's in the UI. That's what put it in the UI. So you go to settings,
Yeah.
go to appearance on the left.
Okay.
Now,
Ooh.
you'll see an option that says show Windows 11 visual effects.
There it is. Turn that on.
Now you have to restart
Let's
again.
restart and see. Oh, it's so much better.
But if you turn on the rounded corners,
Oh,
that will be
even better.
the full meal deal.
Oh yeah, now it's just like Firefox.
Right. That's why when you had Firefox, I was like, hey, what are you running? Because that looks exactly like Edge. in Windows
That's
11.
hysterical. Okay, cool.
Yep. Thus my confusion.
That's fascinating. All right. So
As well.
this is good. This is the set
If
portion
you
of the
thought
show.
there was nothing new in Windows 11, you fools.
Paul helps me, and I was going to wait till after the show to reboot into H2 22H2, but I think it's ready. Yeah, it says restart.
Oh, it's ready.
Oh, it's all ready, baby. Restart required. Ooh, as soon as we get the beer, I'm doing it.
Nice.
I'll have a beer and do it.
Sweet.
All right. Let's start with the Mary Jo Foley Enterprise.
Program called the Windows Customer Connection Program. You ever hear of that?
No.
Nope, me neither. So it's a program via which Microsoft is trying to get, well, right now they're trying to get on board IT pros who want to find out about Microsoft products before they're announced. So they put you under NDA. You can talk directly to the engineering team. You can get previews of things that are upcoming that have to do with Windows and apps that run on Windows. And to qualify, you fill out a form. In the show notes, I linked to an article on this, but if you go to the Insider blog, Windows Insider blog, they've got a whole article about this. And it's kind of like the technology adoption program, which is something that big companies use when they want to test Windows releases and other products early. But this is something for IT pros. So I think a lot of the people who listen to Windows Weekly could qualify for this if they wanted to. I would assume you could. It says it will give you access to exclusive virtual calls, focus groups, surveys, team discussions, and private previews. All about existing software, also yet to be released software. You can engage directly with Microsoft's Windows engineering teams that is building some of these products. So I'm like, I never even heard of this. But the news is they're expanding this to now include IT pros. So if you're somebody who doesn't mind signing a probably pretty broad NDA with the Windows team, and you are not necessarily an MVP, but you could be an MVP, and you want this kind of access directly to the team and these kinds of calls, you might want to see if you qualify and fill out the form and see if you get in.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. The Customer Connection
Interesting.
Program.
Right. I know we couldn't.
Yeah.
No.
You need to have a contact at Microsoft or something.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Enterprise pick number 2.
Right. So it's finally the day next week, June 15th. We've heard about this day for so long. This is the day Microsoft ceases support for many versions of IE11 on the desktop.
No.
I know. It's been so long in coming, it feels like, oh, it's finally happening. Yep, June 15th, 2022. So you can't say this is the retirement of IE11. You can't just make that blanket statement because there are still some things connected with IE11 that will continue to be supported after that date. So it does not affect you if you're on Windows 10 long-term servicing channel, so you're not affected by it. If you are on server, Internet Explorer 11 desktop apps, and if you use anything that's built using the Trident rendering engine, which is the heart of IE11, that also doesn't affect you. But it's basically IE11 on all the Windows 10 client SKUs, Windows 10 IoT. So yeah, this is finally happening, and they're moving away from IE officially next week.
Okie dokie.
It's a day to know, a day to remember.
A day that will live in infamy.
Infamy.
No, it won't.
Not really.
It'll live in joy and wonder. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
In fact, so much so that I feel like I should have a tiki-style sour DIPA.
Excellent.
Wouldn't that be good right about now?
It would. It would. So sometimes craft beers are made to taste like wines. Sometimes they're made to taste like cocktails.
Oh.
The pick of the week is a cocktail type beer. It's from Hudson Valley Brewing in the New York area, but there are a lot of people who do this style. So they made a sour IPA. Tastes mostly like a sour beer, not like an IPA. And they made it to emulate a tiki-style cocktail. What do I mean? They made it with pineapple, lime puree.
That's the key. Okay.
Blackstrap molasses to give it that little sweetness. There's milk sugar, and there's also almonds, which is a very interesting and odd addition. When I saw the list of ingredients on this, I'm like, this is going to be either terrible or very interesting, and it actually is very interesting. It's good. If you just poured it into a glass and gave it to me and said, what do you think this is? I would have said a cocktail, not a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they say tiki style, they're talking like a Mai Tai or
yeah, exactly.
Pina colada
right.
or a daiquiri.
Right. If you had a little
like
a little wedge of pineapple sticking out of your glass, you would not be amiss.
Sounds good. I like it.
No. So this is from Hudson Valley, like I said, but a lot of other beer brewers are doing this kind of thing where they're making a sour beer, but it tastes more like a cocktail than a beer. So if you're somebody a little on the fence about the whole craft beer thing, give it a try.
Nice.
Yeah.
Demiurge, Hudson Valley Brewery.
Demiurge. Yeah, I didn't say the name. Demiurge is their rendition.
The demi like a partial, like a...
Demiurge means something. I'm trying to remember what it means. I have to look it up.
Does it really?
Yeah, that's a word.
I invented the phrase demi-skosh.
It's a being responsible for the creation of the universe.
Oh,
In
okay.
Platonic, Neo-Pythagorean, Middle
not even
Platonic,
close
and
to what I thought.
Neoplatonic schools of philosophy, the demiurge is an artisan-like figure. That's what's on the can, by the way. That's the demiurge.
Yes.
Responsible for fashioning and maintaining the physical universe. It's a term from the Gnostics.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
Demiurge. That's a serious beer.
I have a demiurge to
Yeah.
have a drink.
Yeah. The creator god of the Old Testament.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have
Wow.
never heard that term.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
Except on the beer can.
I think you made it up.
No. Did not.
Wow, there you go. How does it happen? Such a great show, and already it's over. Wow. Paul
A
Thurrott.
scant 2.5 hours later.
Scant 2.5 hours later. No, it was only less than a 2-hour show.
Oh, that's
It
true.
was a nice, short, brief taste of goodness. And we thank Paul and Mary Jo
Demi-skosh.
for that. A little skosh, a little demiurge of goodness.
Paul Thurrott's books are at leanpub.com. When am I going to get the field guide for Windows 11?
This is happening soon, Leo. I think I figured
I'm
out
ready.
the format.
Soon, TM. Yeah.
It's going to be tied to the 22H2. I can say that.
Is it going to be called
okay.
Windows 11 forever?
No. It's very temporary.
Windows 11 Demiurge.
Demiurge. He is the
I have a
demiurge.
demiurge to upgrade to 22H2.
I got an urge. I'll give you an urge. That is leanpub.com for the Windows 10 field guide and soon the Windows 11 field guide. Paul is also, of course, at thurrott.com. That's where you can go to find all the goodness he talks about, including that upgrade to the look and feel of Edge that he just mentioned. So do you think
changer.
that's 22H2 required or no?
I think sometime in 103, 104 timeframe, they're just going to make it the default in Windows. I think that's how it's going to go. Yeah, so it's unstable now, but it's not enabled by default. They'll probably enable it. Yeah, sometime soon.
Mary Jo Foley writes for ZDNet. Her blog is at allaboutmicrosoft.com. We bring them together every Wednesday around 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC, to do this little thing we call Windows Weekly. Now, you can watch it in a couple of different ways. There's audio and video. Audio and video live streams are available at live.twit.tv. So if you're around at 11 a.m. Pacific on Wednesdays, you just watch this happen as it happens. Get the freshest version of it. And people who are around live like to chat with us in the chat room. That's at irc.twit.tv. Of course, if you're a member of Club Twit, you can also go to the Discord server that we run for Club Twit. Club Twit's, I should mention that. It's $7 a month, but you get some real benefits. Chiefly, that there are ad-free versions of all the shows, and you get a custom URL just for you that is ad-free versions of all the shows. You don't even hear this, the plug for, obviously, you're already a member for Club Twit. You get access to the Discord, which is a great community. Lots of benefits. I mentioned we have our own Minecraft servers. We also have the Untitled Linux show, Stacy's Book Club. That's coming up in about 8 days. We're going to be doing Neil Stephenson's Termination Shock. I'm going to host that one because I love this book. It's a great book. I'm a Neil Stephenson fanatic. We also have Ask Me Anything's coming up with Alex Lindsay. We have a fireside chat with all the members coming up. Ant Pruitt's our community manager there. Does a great job. And there's a Twit Plus feed where, for instance, since I forgot to press record when I was talking about my new Dell laptop before the show, that'll probably end up in the Twit Plus feed. That's all the stuff that didn't make it into podcasts. All of that, $7 a month, I think it's a great deal, and it sure helps us smooth out the bumps, if you will, in monetization. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit. And there's more to come, by the way. Lots more to come in the club. We're really doing some interesting stuff. After the fact, of course, you can still get free versions of the show. It's a podcast at twit.tv/WW. There's a Windows Weekly YouTube channel with all the shows. You can watch the videos there. That's a good one for sharing highlights. You can just clip a highlight and send that out. But the easiest thing might be to get a podcast player and subscribe. And if you subscribe, you'll get it on. Leave us a 5-star review. I could make sure that Paul Thurrott adds you to his evening prayers every night.
Nice.
And I
know, but my wife is with my daughter.
Really? Oh, see the benefit of this? The whole family
I get
can
to
enjoy.
walk the dog and clean up the dog mess. Yeah, it's huge.
How long are they going to be gone?
Just a week.
Oh, well, it's not that bad, Paul. But you might check cruise.twit.tv if you suddenly say, you know what, I want to go to Alaska with Paul and Stephanie and Leo and Sam's. Who's going? Not Brad.
Raphael.
Raphael. I always confuse Raphael. I think it is so far. Disaster has yet to strike. We might do it again next year.
I mean, I don't know of a lot of disasters at sea, so what could go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? Never done this before. When you get off this boat, Paul, it could go one of two ways. And I've seen it happen to both. Some people go, there is something I will never do again.
Right.
In fact, there's a whole book, a whole article about Vietnam. That was cool.
Oh, yeah. That was amazing.
Yeah. There are those who get off and go, can I get back on again now? Like, I don't want this to end.
Yeah.
And I hope.
Definitely cruises. This is the one cruise I always said I wanted to do.
Good.
Good.
I'm not like a Caribbean cruise kind of person, but I can picture doing like a riverboat in Europe kind of thing.
Those are so great.
You know,
in fact, maybe
Budapest
we'll do
and-
that next time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Lisa and I are
I'd
going
be
to do
all
that
over
for Christmas 2023. We're going
Nice.
to have New Year's Eve in
The
Vienna.
Danube.
The Danube. The blue Danube.
Nice.
So I think a lot of people do this and go, hey, that was really great. That was really fun. So I'm hoping that you two will be in the latter group. Anyway, thank you, Paul. Thank you. And Mary Jo, you know, next time if we do it again, we got to take you too. So, But we'll do something you want to do. I think, you know, I think a riverboat would be fun. I love riverboat cruises. They're very
European
relaxing.
river cruise thing would be
Wouldn't that be
awesome.
great?
Yeah.
We did this because it's less expensive. We want to make it available to as many people as possible. It's a, you know, it's kind of a fancy thing to do.
Well, yeah, we have fans in Europe. I'm just saying, you know.
Good point.
Just saying.
Good point. Paul?
Miss All About Android every week. We talk about the latest news, hardware, apps, and now all the developer-y goodness happening in the Android ecosystem. I'm Jason Howell, also joined by Ron Richards, Florence Ion, and our newest co-host on the panel, Wen Tu Dao, who brings her developer chops. Really great stuff. We also invite people from all over the Android ecosystem to talk about this mobile platform we